Eamon O'Carroll, just when you think the injury adversity has eased, you get hit with two fresh injuries to Dan Smith and Chester Butler at the weekend. What's the latest with those?
Yeah, hugely disappointing, especially with Chester. Losing him in the warm up. Thought Sam Alice came in and did a great job, and really frustrated for Smig. I feel for him because he's desperate to play at the minute, and he's going through a bit of a tough period at the minute. So I'm not too sure in terms of time frame on that. We'll get a bit of an answer later. So we'll have a little bit more clarity there.
Is it fair to say both are potentially missing for this weekend?
Yeah, both of them won't feature.
Can you sympathise with them as a former player yourself, and that these injuries have happened only after just coming back from lengthy injuries?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that was the majority of my career, so I totally understand where they are. Ches's is more probably precautionary than anything, but for Dan, I really feel for him at the minute, but I know he'll work extremely hard to get himself back and how desperate he is to play for this club.
There was any further injury concerns from that game? I spoke to Kieran Gill afterwards and he looked a little bit, like action man, battered and bruised.
Yeah, he's all right. He obviously with the in the action of scoring a try there with George Tafuri, there was a bit of a late hit, so he's got an issue with his shoulder, but he'll be fine. He'll train tonight.
You've had a few days now to reflect and review that performance against Whitehaven. Have you been able to identify, why there was a slow start in this game when you look against Barrow, it was 16-0 in as many minutes?
Yeah, I think we started slow. If anything, I think we lacked energy. It was one of the reasons why I went down to the sideline. But the ability to come through that and actually do what we said we were going to do at half time when we addressed it and come back out, I think that's a huge step in the right direction for us as a club and as a group. So I was really pleased with that. I mention it a lot. You're not going to have your own way for the full game. I just think there were some things we could have got. We could have got right and certainly could have done better. I think Evan Skur and Fenton Rogers certainly set the tone when they came on, and it was up to everyone else to get on a level that they were at.
When you're 12-0 down away from home, I'm guessing it shows the ability and the spirit of the side to get out of that hole with what was, a dominant second half performance where Bradford never really looked under any threat.
Yeah, I think one of the main issues, other than us probably not starting with the right intent, was we were trying to score on every set. Our first good ball sets, first 4 good ball sets, we didn't complete. But when we got back to that and we were patient and we were willing to kick the ball back to the opposition, we got some joy. So yeah, that was a huge pleasing thing for me, that we showed an element of patience and wanting to break a team down, and we got rewarded for it.
Certainly was a high completion rate in that second half. I think there was only 2 errors, and when you look at the fierce opposition and the weather, that must be another positive.
Yeah. In comparison to the first half, I think we're at 64%, and we finished second half, it was 89%. So yeah, it wasn't a shock for anyone when I showed them those numbers on Monday when we reviewed the game. But it's a good lesson for us and one that we have to learn. I feel we talk about it a lot, and we know that it won't just happen overnight, but we've got to keep getting better and better each game in terms of that, and how we respect the ball, how disciplined we are, and how patient we can be.
When I spoke to John Davis and Kieran Gill after the game, they an interview, and they seemed fully aware of the Jekyll and Hyde nature, with some of the performances this season, and they're saying to me, they're trying to stamp it out, iron it out. How easy or hard is it going to be for that? Because I'm kind of guessing, it's probably stating the obvious here, and if you start slow and you're off against a Toulouse or a Wakefield, you're probably not coming back.
No, we're not, and I challenged the group on that. I believe as a group, when we're all on, we go well, but I feel like it's individual concentration. Probably a little bit of trust, and knowing that if you don't quite throw that offload early on in the game, you'll get rewarded for it at the back end of it. Like, I think we started the game really well and made a couple of line breaks, and if anything, that's great, but I think it hurt us more than anything. And then to go and concede the couple of little breakaway tries that we did, it gives us a kick up the backside that we kind of needed. So I'd like to see us have a little bit more patience in games, certainly the start. But that's one thing that we got out of that game, and I referenced it before, for the group to be able to take on a message at half time and then go out and apply it, I think is a huge step for us.
You highlighted Sam Hallis's try-saving tackle. Have you highlighted that with a player group? That commitment, that effort, the fact that he's chased back and he's given the referee, Matty Lynn, a decision to make?
Yeah, well, it's a big one for us. Win, lose or draw. I always show that as the first thing that I show in the review is our effort areas and our intent. I feel that's really important. It's something that I want to make sure that we own when we're playing games. We know how important that area is to us. So there was a couple of other ones in there, probably not as rewarding for us as what Sammy's effort was. I thought it was fantastic, but any sort of kick pressures, any sort of scraps, the things that probably the spectators don't see in value as much as we do, we always make sure we show that win, lose or draw.
What's the team news looking like this week? Obviously, Doncaster here at Bartercan Hudsall. Obviously, you've lost Dan Smith, Chester Butler. Are you able to call upon anybody else?
Yeah, we're not sure, if I'm totally honest. It was a big day yesterday having a look round because I could only name 20 going into the Whitehaven game. So I know we spoke about getting some bodies back, but we're still low on numbers in terms of squad. So yeah, there's a bit of work to be done there, but there could be some opportunity for some lads this weekend.
Aidan McGowan missed out against Whitehaven. Is it fair to say he's back in contention this week?
Yeah, I had a good chat with Aidan. I love what he's about. He's a great kid. I've got so much time for him. Probably one of the more difficult ones when you're sitting down with a lad like Aidan and tell him he's not going to be part of the 17 because I think his game is really sound. But it's been the second game in the year where we've had 1, 6, 7 and 9 play together, and I want to give that an opportunity to kind of get going. I think certainly in attack we've been better for it, but I just know what Aidan adds in terms of those effort areas that we spoke to, and certainly defensively, which is really important to me and to us as a group as well. So I see Aidan getting an opportunity again, but there might just have to be a bit of an element of patience, and his attitude when I spoke to him and communicated that with him was absolutely fantastic.
Dan Moss, is it right? He's left the club now, Eamon.
Yeah, I still need to speak to Dan. It's been a bit of a tricky one for him. I feel really sorry for him because we wanted to give him an opportunity, and he did really well in pre-season. But unfortunately, he picked up quite a serious injury. So I've been desperate to get him some game time elsewhere, but really struggled. So that's hurt him. He's been so committed to the club. He's on trial still, and still turns up to every single session. Puts his hand up to play in the reserves. Whether or not he's got an opportunity somewhere else, I really hope he has. If that is the case, and we'll be fully supportive of him. I said to him, if there's anything I can do in terms of giving you a reference for anyone, because he's such a great kid who competes hard and is willing to learn. He just needs an opportunity now. So I'm due to speak to him later on this afternoon and see where he's at.
And just an update on Billy Jowett with, I believe, his dislocated broken shoulder.
Yeah, he's due to have an operation in the next couple of weeks. So unfortunate for Billy. I think he's had this issue a couple of times. So, but he seems in a good spot when I see him. So, we'll get him fixed up and he'll be ready to go when he's fit.
It is Doncaster here on Sunday, and they had quite a tough trip to Toulouse on Saturday night. You'll be expecting a backlash and a response from Richard on side.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to someone else before this, and they were asking me about the field, and I just said, look, we don't take our pitch into account. We have the same things we want to do regardless of who we're playing or where we're playing. But I feel like that Doncaster might turn up and feel like that really suits them. And obviously they'll be hurting after the last game. So, but it's about us. I know it's the old cliche, but we've got some things that we did really well against Whitehaven that I want to see more of during the game, and certainly some areas where we need to be smarter. Probably not better, but certainly smarter. So the start of the game is going to be key for us. And I'll be challenging the group on that in terms of getting their intent right. Because as I said before, I feel like that's an area that we lacked. We certainly got it right around about the 20-minute mark when we brought on some different personnel. So that's a big challenge for the rest of the group to get that kind of area right from the start. It'll be a real tough game, and one that we're going to have an element of patience and be willing to break a team down.
Is that the emphasis, the focus, the message to the players this week? You want to see a strong start, similar to what was here last time when Barrow were here?
Yeah, it is, but being clear in terms of a strong start doesn't mean going 12 points up early on. A strong start means doing as we practice, kicking the ball really well, valuing our defence and looking to break a team down. That for me is a strong start. If we end up scoring points off the back of that, great. But if it's 0-0 after 20 minutes and we're completing high and we're kicking the ball, I'll be really happy.
It will be the 6th league game of the season at Bartercan Hudsall, and 4 from 5. How important is that strong home form to you?
Yeah, it is, but I think that having strong form throughout the season, that's the key for us at the minute, regardless of where we're playing. We try to take that attitude. We absolutely love playing here in front of our home fans at our home ground, but it's important that we're performing week in, week out, regardless of where we're playing, and that's the attitude that we try to take on board. It doesn't matter where we're playing or who we're playing at what time. Like, we all have a job to do, and we want to do it to the best of our ability to give ourselves the best chance of winning.
Just when you look at Doncaster, they've got a lot of experienced players at this level. Craig Hall, Paulie to just name two.
Yeah, they've got quality throughout. I think they've got some real top-end Championship players in there as well who've played for a number of years. Certainly strong in the halves as well, and so they've got threat right throughout the team. So we're going to have to be very good.
Just finally, Eamon, Logan Bayliss-Brow and Max Lehman have obviously signed since we've last had a chance to sit down and talk. Both of them, two former Brisbane Broncos, Queensland Cup players. What do they bring? Or what will they bring?
Yeah, well, they'll be great additions, in terms of bodies and bringing some bodies in. We alluded to it before, where we're at in terms of that. But two lads who are making a huge sacrifice to move over the other side of the world, one of them with his family as well, and a young child to come and play for our club. So one thing that I've learned with the players that we have brought over for Australia, they're fully invested and they've been in really good environments as well. So they're not coming all the way over here just to pick up a little bit of money and float around. They want to come and they want to be competitive, and they're fully aware of the ambition of the club and where we currently are and what we need to do to get to where we want to be. And they want to be a part of that. So I think they're going to be two great additions.
You've just touched on that big commitment. Moving club is always a big commitment, but when you're moving country and, as you say, you're bringing your family over as well, that is the ultimate commitment.
Yeah, it is. We're a family club. I can assure everyone of that. We take that into account. I think it's really important that it's not just the players that are here, it's the players and the families that are part of what we're trying to do. So it's important that we settle them in. And, Logan's coming over with his wife and his young son. Max will leave family in Australia and go a period without seeing him now, which is extremely difficult. So we want to make sure that we support them in the right way and understand that's a huge commitment from them. So, it's great to get them over the line. We can't wait to see them in the Bradford Bulls jersey.
You look at Tyrone Otmich, who is at Full, and it does appear to be an Australian Bulls revolution taking place for yourself here.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, it wasn't planned. Obviously, we got Mitch over the line, and we're actually looking at Max probably before Zach. That one's took a little bit longer to get done, and then once we got Zach over the line, we realised that they were really close mates. So we were still looking to bring in some quality in our outside backs. But it just ends up being a good market to go into, especially when you bring the right people over. It takes a lot of work to kind of get it done. You have to have a few chats with people over there, and more importantly, it's easy to look at vision and see if they're a quality player, but find out what the character's like and if they're the right people and if they'll suit us. So it does take a little bit of extra time, but I'm confident in the people that we're bringing in are certainly adding value.
And it must be pleasing for you as a head coach that the board of directors opening the war chest and backing you.
Oh, absolutely. I think I mentioned this a couple of times last week. The support network I've got here is fantastic, and I feel like everyone's in alignment. We know where we currently are, and would we like to be in a better spot? Of course we would, but most importantly, we've got ambition moving forward, and we know what it's going to take to get there. So we know we have to have an element of patience with that, but I'm fully supported by the board and the directors, Jason, Nigel, and the coaching staff, and more importantly, the group as well. So everybody's on board, and we're enjoying the journey.
And just finally on Logan and Max, when can supporters expect to see him running out on the field? Yeah,
Max will be in the country back end of the week, which is really good in terms of when he plays. I'm not too sure. It's important we do the right thing. He's, long travel ahead of him. He'll get here early hours. So, we'll get a look at him and see where he's at in terms of his training, his condition when he gets here. He's a fit kid. So, spoke to Corey Thompson a lot, who we played with at Widnes, who's actually played with him and coached him, and says he's in great shape and ready to go. With Logan, that'll be a little bit longer, but we're hopeful to get him over here in the next month.